Hello everybody, welcome back to another video of Saul on the Road. Today we are going to talk about how to choose your bicycle in winter. This is the last episode of the 3 parts. The first one was about motivation, the second one about clothing, and finally in this one I'm gonna tell you what do I think is the best choice of bicycle in winter. First things I'm gonna tell you is that I've been riding in winter during 3 years. I start with a mountain bike. This is probably the most popular choice for beginner because the bicycle and tires looks good for winter. But in reality they are not good. Neither the bicycle nor the tires are really good for winter. Mountain bikes are just not the good choice because they are very heavy. And because of the traction of the snow in winter, you really want the lightest possible bike you can have. So a better option will be hybrid bikes. Hybrid bikes are not only lighter, but they have the standard tire size for winter tires. If you happen to have mountain bikes beside of the heavy weight, you're gonna have problem finding the right size of tire. And I'm gonna tell you right now which one I do consider that is the best tire you can possibly have in winter when you're riding in the city in the snow. J'avais aussi un panier au lait installé sur un rack comme la plupart des vélos montréalais, mais à l'hiver c'est vraiment pas pratique. Ça ramasse la neige, c'est lourd, donc je l'ai enlevé et je recommande pas porter ce genre d'accessoires à l'hiver. But before telling you what I do consider to be the best winter tire you can have, let's talk a little bit about the physics of friction. Most of you will tend to think that fat tires are the best choice. But this is not the truth when driving in the snow, especially in the city. When driving in the snow, you really want to have the most possible amount of friction per square inch. So let's say that you have a very thin tire and this tire have a surface of contact to the ground of 1 square inch. Let's say now that this square inch is supporting something like, I don't know, like 50 pounds of weight. So you have a surface of traction of 50 pounds per square inch. But now let's say that you double the size of your tire because you like fat tire or just because you have a mountain bike. So if you have the double of surface, now you're gonna have only half of the weight per square inch. So instead of having 50 pounds per square inches, now you're gonna have 25 pounds per square inch. And so on. If you put a fat bike, instead of having 1 square inch of contact with the floor, you're having now 4 square inches. So you divide your 50 original pounds and you're gonna have only like 12.5 pounds per square inch. That means you have less friction, that means you're gonna slide very easy and you're gonna fall down.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
So now that you know all the physics of the traction and snow and tires, I can tell you that the tires I put in my bikes are 700 by 30 millimeters. 700 millimeters is pretty much the diameter of the wheel, and 30 millimeters represent the thickness of the tire. 30 millimeters is actually the smaller or the thinner dimension you may find into a studded tire for winter. If you want something thicker, you can have it very easily, but smaller is quite hard to find it. And this is the problem with the mountain bikes. In mountain bikes you can never find something like 30 millimeter thick tire. There are always like 2 or 3 inches, or they are quite thick, quite heavy, and as I told before, you have more contact with the floor and you are gonna slide way more easy than a hybrid bike. And by the way, the thicker of your tire, the heavier is gonna be your tire. So if you want something light, this is another reason to find a thin tire in winter. En resumen, las bicicletas híbridas son las que funcionan mejor, las bicicletas de montaña funcionan más o menos y las fat bike la verdad es que no sirven para mucho en la ciudad. Talking about brakes, let's start for the traditional system. You have the really traditional, like this one. You have the traditional cantilever and you have V-brakes. Traditional brakes are not good for winter simply because the snow tends to accumulate between the brakes and the wheel. That creates friction and then tend to damage the wheel faster than the other one. Cantilever and V-brake brakes are probably not the best in the world, but they work quite good in winter just because of that. If you have more money and you have maybe a most recent bicycle, you should try this brake. They are known to be the most powerful in the market. I do not have any experience with that in winter, but I guess that with a good maintenance they should work nice in winter. Of course, there are many more types of brakes for bicycles, but I'm just talking about the most popular that you probably have in your bicycle. Last thing I'm gonna tell you to take care in winter is your chain. In Montreal we have a lot of salt in the street in winter. The city put a lot of salt in order to defrost the ice, and this salt goes everywhere in your bike, but especially in your chain. There are plenty of tricks you can do. What I do, I put oil. I actually use car transmission oil. I put a little bit every week. You always have to keep your chain properly lubrified in order to avoid the salt to get inside and in order to avoid corrosion too. So this is my best advice with chains. If you want to invest more when your chain breaks, you can replace it with an stainless steel chain and you should have less corrosion than a regular one. If you are considering in buying a new bike, maybe you should consider buying a belt-driven bicycle. This is a new kind of bicycle that doesn't use traditional metal chain. Instead of that, they use like a non-metallic car belt that is virtually zero maintenance and is probably going to last the life of your bicycle. Another general trick I can tell you about taking care of your bicycle in winter is that do not frost and defrost your bike. If you are driving winter, it's gonna be way better leaving your bicycle outside of your house. It's gonna stay frozen during all the winter. Sometimes maybe it's gonna to defrost because of the weather, but if you start frozen and defrosting your bicycle every day, you're gonna have huge corrosion problems. It's gonna be very bad for your bicycle. Your bicycle is gonna be very damaged by the end of the winter. So my advice, do not frost and defrost your bicycle, just keep it cold during all the winter. As for my last advice, but not less important, be visible. I guess that probably half or more of the accident in bicycle is because you are not visible in winter. Especially in winter, in Montreal, we lack a lot of light, but 4 p.m. every day is already dark. So just buy a set of regular LED lights, one in front that is gonna be white and one in the rear of your bicycle that's gonna be red, and turn it on and never go outside with them. I think we pretty much covered the most important things about driving a bicycle in winter. Just don't forget to do a good cleanup by the end of the winter to remove any dirt, any salt, and to put your bicycle ready for the next season. Eso es todo por hoy. Si les gustó, denle a like, así me emociono y sigo poniendo más videos.